All right, welcome back. Robots Attack discussing E3. We're going to move on now to Nintendo.
Here we go. Rubbing
Somebody's
my hands
excited.
together. Yes, I'm
Somebody
excited.
might be too excited. We don't know. We don't want to
You'll
know.
never know. Yeah, I think this was a big selling point for me, was to be able to bring this Nintendo perspective to this special edition of Robots Attack. So I've taken the liberty of exploring pretty well everything that Nintendo had to offer. Definitely some things more than others, but
You delved
I definitely
deep, is what you're saying.
I did. I did.
Okay. Well, that's good. We need deep delvers.
Gotta get that diversity going on here. So I feel like, since we're all big Xbox fans, that Nintendo needs to be represented well, because I believe they did a heck of a job. And they so what they did, they did their usual, not actually being at E3 for a press conference. They pre-recorded with Reggie there. They did what they call a spotlight, and it was basically 25 minutes of them just completely showing off what they had to offer. And for the most part, it was first-party games. No shock there. And I felt that they really did a wonderful job at maximizing their time to the fullest. Like, they had only 25 minutes. It was way short. It was like an hour and 20 minutes shorter than Xbox, and like almost an hour shorter than Sony's even. So I think they did a really good job at maximizing their time. They just hit everything they needed, and they were gone. And then it led everything to their Treehouse demonstrations, which they do live demonstrations of the games that they showed. And most of those games that they announced throughout the spotlight, they actually did demonstrate, with the exception of a couple. So that was impressive. And that was
very impressive. Nice. Buzzing impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll basically just go through the spotlight chronologically, what they announced and everything, because they didn't announce like 42 games or anything like that, like Xbox. So it shouldn't take too long. So basically, they started off with Xenoblade Chronicles, which is coming out later this year.
And
this is a part
and
of
is
the
spelled
Xeno...
with an X. Yeah.
With it. Yes, it is. Not a Z, an X.
Yeah, I'm all over that. I got it.
Yeah. This is part of the Xeno series that they've had for a long time. The very first Xenogears game, it was called, was on the PlayStation 1, and it was actually supposed to be, the story was supposed to be for Xenogears was supposed to be for Final Fantasy VII, and then that changed because Square thought that it was a little bit too dark for their story, so they basically, the director took it and made his own series, which is now Xenoblade Chronicles. So it's a sequel to the Wii version of Xenoblade Chronicles, which is something I actually didn't play, because I didn't play a ton of Wii games. I never owned the console, so I was only able to play it at friends' houses and relatives' houses. So this is a new series. This is a new series for me, but based on what I've seen, it looks quite impressive. I definitely like the aesthetic. It has that blend of like sci-fi and fantasy together. So that, I think, is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I've always loved when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, because it seems like it's always like one or the other, right? But this one, they kind of combine both of the elements. So I thought that was really cool. The one thing I took from the video is just like a lot of Japanese stuff, the English voice acting to me was pretty cringy. Like they were just saying some lines that you would hear from a certain friend that we have, and it was just really cringy. Like, it was like, oh yeah, we'll save you, yeah, and they charge. It it just felt pretty cringy. It's like one of those things where if I'm gonna play that, I'm gonna probably switch it to Japanese voice actors and just have subtitles, because it that in that respect it was like I don't know, but and also I wanted to point out the oh okay someone's getting excited, but I wanted to point out that the Pyra character is the female character that's kind of like attached to this main character. She might have been inspired by like Itagaki-san from Team Ninja, or formerly known as Team Ninja, because she's Rule 34 is going to have a lot of fun times with her for sure. She's well endowed to say the least. Pyra is, and I think one of the selling point for me with this game is one of the reasons why I want to switch is because I want it to offer me something that the Xbox doesn't give me, and the Xbox gives me pretty much everything. But one of the things that it kind of lacks in is JRPGs. And so for me, the Switch seems to be offering quite a few of those, and in the future with that Square Enix game that is looking pretty promising with the art style, I have high hopes for it. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to switch, and this looks pretty impressive. I did watch a demonstration on it. It was like a 40-minute video of kind of going through the battle systems, the arts, the some of the exploration, the towns and whatnot. And what I'm kind of confused with is the battle system. I'm still not. I still didn't completely understand the battle system. I like the demonstration. I think they catered to someone who's supposed to be like super familiar with the franchise, because they basically only mentioned like, oh, this is new from the last game and this is new from this game. But they, for like people like me who aren't super familiar with the franchise, it's like it would have been kind of nice to show like absolutely everything, like just the basics, and not just some of the new stuff that was implemented into the game. So I'm still kind of confused. Like the battle system basically is you can have a party of 3, and you have your main character, and then you have kind of like a blade, as they call them, but it's essentially like another party member that is kind of like tethered to the main character, and they kind of share like powers with each other. And by no means does it stop the character from moving. Like it's not like, oh, you're tethered to like a rock and you can't push forward or anything. You still can move freely, but they still have this connection to each other. And basically, from what I understood of it, is the combat has like, you automatically do like basic attacks without pushing anything, and then you can maneuver around people and do these special attacks, and you build up to these special attacks that do like combos. But that's like basically the premise that I don't know if I didn't completely understand. Like, do you only push times, or can you hit them all the time, or like how much sitting do you need to do to wait to build up? Like I feel like they could have went into more detail with it. So it looks good, and I think I'll probably still get it, but I need to see more in the battle system, I think, as far as that goes. But that's all I have for that game. I don't know if you guys have anything to add or not, but
I unfortunately have nothing to add to that. I added my favorite part, which is the X part, but other than that.
Okay, well, I guess we'll move on then. The next game they announced was a new Kirby game, which they had gameplay of it, which was kind of shocking to me because it's not due out until 2018, say a specific time, but again, the theme of E3 2018. So
right, yeah.
So it's coming out 2018. They had gameplay of it. It looks exactly what a Kirby game would look like: bright, colorful, side-scrolling fun. Kirby eating enemies and turning into their properties. So like,
Right.
if you eat like a fire guy or something, he devours them and he gains fire abilities and all sorts of things. In case you're not familiar with the series,
Right.
it looks like a throwback to what you would see from like the Super Nintendo side-scrolling, very colorful, very cute, uh, fun game. They didn't show like a ton, but they did show, I think it was like a minute and a half video. There was a couple instances in the video where Kirby turned into a curling stone. Yes, curling, Canadian, right? I have to mention curling.
Right.
But he turned into this curling stone, and he was kind of descending down this path, and he was going from side to side down the path, and he was just wrecking all the enemies as a curling stone with these like cute little eyes on it. And I thought that was kind of fun, just seeing how he disperse of enemies and whatnot, and I thought that was kind of cool just to see something different from Kirby as a curling stone, because usually when he transforms into that, it's like a block, like a big rock or something. But he took it a step further and turned into a curling stone, so I thought it was a kind of cute little touch to it.
Yeah.
It looks like the game is also emphasizing 4-player action, which doesn't shock me at all, because a lot of Kirby games are better played with somebody else.
Yeah, it's nice to see more foreplay on Nintendo.
Right? Oh, he's a fan of foreplay. But yeah, it was
used to be their bread and butter, so it's good to see them getting back to their foreplay roots.
Absolutely. Looking back at the N64 and all that GameCube. But yeah, it was cool to see some emphasis on the 4-player action. You guys team up, you kind of take different roles, and you can absorb different characters, so you all have different like abilities and different ways to interact with the rest of the world and the enemies. And you basically have to team up, and you can unleash some pretty brutal attacks together. Like there's this one instance where the four of them like form a circle. It's like, almost like a giant wheel or a ring or a donut, however you want to look at it. And you just go right down the entire stage, just crippling all the enemies. And it gets to a point where you hit a roadblock, and you're like, okay, so what do we do now? And they kind of took the route where, okay, 2 Kirbys push this, and the other 2 Kirbys ride this. So.
Oh, okay.
So there's definitely emphasis on 4-player action for sure. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Other than it's nice to see that there is another Kirby game coming, because it's not the biggest Nintendo franchise, but there is a lot of people that like that one, and
it's pretty recognizable.
It looks like a lot of fun. So that's really all they showed as far as that. They just said 2018. It's like, okay, cool. At least we know what to kind of expect for the Switch. So say if I do jump into getting a Switch this holiday season, I know that, okay, a Kirby game's coming, because that's something I'd be interested in. As well as some of these other mentions that aren't necessarily coming out this year, but at least we know ahead of time what the Switch is gonna have. So that's something good for a new console, especially in its like first year. It's nice to know what's coming.
Yeah.
Especially since the opening for the Switch is a little bit light on games. It's a good idea to walk people through what's coming in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because right now their 2 highest selling games are both on the Wii U. Mario Kart 8 and Breath of the Wild, so that's
crazy. Yeah.
It's one thing. It's one part that the games are really good, but it's another part, well, they're starved for games. Switch users are starved for games, so they're going to go back and buy a game that they probably already had on the Wii U, or one that they could have bought on the Wii U in Breath of the Wild, for instance.
Yeah.
Something that I did. So, and I also have Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U as well, and I don't plan on buying it for the Switch because it is like a premium version. They added some new carts and racers and stuff and tracks, but I don't feel obligated to buy it again, even though it was a really fun game. So the next one.
Well, speaking of race cars and stuff. Segway, race cars.
Oh yes, yep.
Rocketing around.
Getting there. We're gonna be rocketing it around. Yep. So they announced they did a quick with Psyonix, the developers of Rocket League. They announced that there's a Switch version for Rocket League coming out this holiday this year sometime. They don't have a specific date, but it's coming out this year. And they showed off a couple of vehicles where they had, the typical Nintendo customizable decals, like they had like a Mario hat or a Luigi hat on top of your character. They introduced some new vehicles. They only mentioned it. They didn't actually show it, unfortunately, so we don't know if there's going to be some sort of like maybe a DK barrel car, something like a barrel with wheels, like because they have a lot from Mario Kart that they could take from if they're allowed to.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what they could pull off with the Switch version of that. And I guess the other important thing to mention about the Rocket League is that it's cross-network play with PC and Xbox One, not PlayStation 4. So it'd be interesting to see how that works with the Xbox. I know they announced that because this is cross-play network, it's going to be interesting because for the people, Switch owners, they're still going to have to have an Xbox Live account in order to play on the Xbox and the PC version, like all together. They're gonna have to have an Xbox account. So that makes things interesting because Xbox basically wants like everybody to be on like one ecosystem. So the Switch users will have to create an Xbox Live account in order to do that. So I don't think it'll be too much of an issue, especially for me since I already have one. So
yeah.
No issue for me, but
it is an interesting twist on it, though. I wouldn't have expected that, especially since a lot of people are making hay about the PlayStation not being included in a lot of these deals lately, including for the previously mentioned Mario Rabbids game. Apparently, they have roughly the same setup on that.
Yeah, it's really nice to see these networks coming together. Minecraft is another example that they did as well with the Switch. So that's really cool to see all those coming together. That was pretty much it for Rocket League, though. There wasn't too much. It was a quick 40-second video just telling us that it's coming and everything.
I think a bullet bill would be absolutely perfect. Game, but
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
But yeah, we'll see.
I'm sure they have a lot of creative ideas going on. It'll be interesting to see when they reveal those vehicles that they're talking about, which ones. But yeah, Bullet Bill, that's a good one. The next thing they did was they announced. I've already talked to Django a little bit about this, but they showed off the expansion pass of Breath of the Wild and the first DLC, which is still mind-boggling to me that a Zelda game has DLC. Oh, holy crap. That's crazy to me. But I guess we're in that era now where everybody gets DLC. So they have June 30th as their first release and then Holiday 2017 for their second bit. The first bit showed off the master mode, which is basically the game at a harder difficulty. So that's a part of the expansion pass is a harder difficulty, which The game is pretty challenging on the regular difficulty. Holy crap, I couldn't imagine on the harder difficulty. But Zelda pros out there that could probably handle it. But wow, I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, those guys are already bored. They need their next fix, and that's probably going to do it for them.
Yeah. They showed off some new armor, which will be interesting. They did some travel medallions, masks that give you special abilities. So the travel medallions work as almost like a way of teleporting to another area, because a lot of wild, there's ways of there's mounts that you can use, different horses that you can tame in the wild, and they have different properties to them. Some horses are faster than others, some are easier to tame. Some have more like stamina as they're running, so they have that ability. And then they have these travel medallions where you can basically just warp to wherever you want to, because really the only way you can move around is by mount or by the trials. They have these these trials that you can go to, and at the front you can kind of warp to another area that has like a quick point launcher, I guess, or so now they have the ability with the travel medallions to you can kind of go from point A to point B a little bit faster, because the world is pretty large, and if you're trying to run with Link, it's gonna take quite a while. There's a lot to get lost in that world, so that's kind of cool. But I think the biggest piece of this expansion is the Trial of the Sword, which is basically you want to try and get your Master Sword to full power, because you can get the Master Sword, but if you do this new trial, so basically what it is it's a really large trial of 45 rooms, extremely challenging. Management is key, because you're stripped down to pretty much everything. Like, you don't have any weapons, you don't have any like health potions, you have like nothing. And you have to go through 45 rooms and only use your environment in order to progress. So you have to use like, tree branches. You've got to use whatever you can find in order to progress. And eventually, after you've reached the 45 rooms, you'll get that power upgrade to your Master Sword. So that is another one of those things where like some of the more hardcore players will definitely have a lot of fun with, because I could imagine is not going to be easy. So I think that's like the real meat of the first DLC. Nothing spectacular in my opinion. I think they could have done a lot better with the DLC, but Zelda is not the franchise isn't used to DLC, so I don't think it's something I'd buy personally. I'd have to see the reveal of the next pass in the holidays to see if I really want it, but it looks like it's a lot of fun if you've beat the game and done like everything imaginable and you want to retry it on a harder difficulty. It could appeal to them, but I personally I don't think I would get it.
Yeah, it seemed like it was all of the things, for the most part, that they could get out quickly. So I understand them wanting to do that, but yeah, it doesn't end up being the most impressive DLC, from what I can tell.
No. So we've done that. We've covered. Oh, I guess I'll briefly talk about Fire Emblem Warriors. That comes out this year, October 13th.
Okay.
October.
I know,
right?
Another October. Seriously, it's the month for games.
It's an October exclusive.
Yeah, October exclusive. You guys are familiar with the Dynasty Warriors franchise, right?
Yes.
At least heard of it?
Yeah.
I'm sure at the very least. Yeah, okay. So basically, what they did with the Wii U is they did a collaboration, Koei Tecmo, which is the publishers for Dynasty Warriors. They did a collaboration with Nintendo a few years back, and they did Hyrule Warriors. And
Yeah.
they took like the combat style of like the Dynasty Warrior games, but they gave it like the Zelda aesthetic. They added in all these characters from the Zelda series, and they had them battle it out through there. Um, so that was something that like Team Ninja got involved too on that one. So they came back with Nintendo again, and this time they're going to collaborate. Dynasty Warriors is going to collaborate with the Fire Emblem series, which is a rather old mainstay for the Nintendo consoles.
Right. Most people are more familiar with the characters from that in Smash.
Yeah,
Seems like at this point.
Marth, yeah, is one character. So it's basically similar to what you would expect from like a Dynasty Warriors game, except they're going to have the Fire Emblem characters present there. They didn't show a whole lot. They showed just like a little trailer. I know there was a video after a Treehouse video, but I didn't end up catching it. So I don't really have too much to say on this game, other than it's gonna be like a Dynasty Warriors game mixed with the Fire Emblem characters, and they're gonna kind of come together to defeat a greater enemy with tons and tons of combat. But I don't really have too much to say on that game particularly.
Yeah.
It's probably a game I would maybe get if it was cheap. But I don't think it's something like, oh wow, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, those
Fox
Dynasty
quote,
Warrior
I'd
style.
buy this if it was cheap.
Right. The Dynasty Warrior style games, it seems like it's a really specific group of people who get really into them. I don't know how large that group is.
Yeah.
But they seem pretty dedicated.
Yeah. I mean, I like the collaboration, if nothing else. Like, I thought the Team Ninja Hyrule Warriors was cool, but
yeah, it is a
Fire
cool
Emblem
idea.
Warrior, the series itself, I'm not super big into. So it's like Dynasty Warriors, I'm like kind of meh on, and then Fire Emblem, I don't know a ton of, so it doesn't really appeal to me. But I'm sure if you're a fan of either franchise, that's probably something that you would at least take a look at.
So what else would you take a look at?
What else would I take a look at? Well, let's talk about the new Yoshi game that's coming out also in 2018. Yes, 2018.
Okay, I can actually weigh in on this one since I actually saw something to do with it.
Yeah,
it looks cute as hell.
Oh yes, it does.
Hell
it's so
has
adorable.
never been so cute.
Right down to the music, the Yoshi and everything. It's super adorable. But basically, it bears similarities to Yoshi's Woolly World, which was their last incarnation of the Yoshi series, which was on the Wii U, and that was a lot of fun. But instead of using like the wool as the main aesthetic in this one, the world seems to be made out of like cardboard and other craft-like materials with like toilet paper rolls, plastic bottle lids, and the main levels look like dioramas, like a kid's diorama, like someone
it's like
you're in. Yeah.
Second grade class project, like the entire game. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it looks like you could design this level with what you have in your house right now. Like you could just go up and design it. It's really neat. It actually shows that you are actually in some kid's room, which is kind of crazy. Because one of the main themes for this game is that you can flip the world around. So if you're walking along and you see this house made out of cardboard, and you see these windows, you're not exactly sure what's behind them. So later on, you can flip the world, and then you get the different perspective of being kind of in the foreground instead of the background this time, and you can see there's like all these collectibles or all these enemies in this house, and that's something they continue to use with the co-op experience as well. You can have you and another Yoshi teaming up to do a lot of different things. You can push this little cart, and one has to push, the other one has to stay on top and ride it, and you have to cooperatively jump up to new platforms together. So this one is kind of in the same vein as Kirby. There's a lot of emphasis on co-op, but it doesn't have to be co-op if you don't have anybody.
I like that the world flipping. It reminds me of like a weird hybrid between Paper Mario and Fez.
Yeah.
Not quite as in depth as Fez, honestly, but still, like, as far as a raw aesthetic, it's very similar.
Yeah, it's nice to see, because with platformers you got to find a way to stand out from other platformers, because they can all be quite similar in concept if you don't really take a new gimmick or a theme or something to another level. And I feel like with this whole flipping capability in the co-op, it's definitely changing up this platformer. There's a couple funny examples, or I enjoyed anyways, of a lot of the background is interactable. So when you get new eggs, you can throw the eggs at like the window, and the window will drop off, and it'll drop off like, a piece of cardboard or a piece of paper. You can throw the eggs at bushes, and you'll find things behind the bushes. And there's a lot of Shy Guys. The Shy Guys kind of are like stage hands for the stages. So they'll be like hiding behind a bush, and they'll hold up like a stick, like a popsicle stick or something, and it'll have like a zebra head, like a paper cutout of like a zebra head or something waving behind the bushes. So when you hit the bush, the Shy Guy kind of looks at you, and he's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I'm just holding this up," being creative. It's really cute. It's pretty dark if you think about it, though, because Yoshi is going on this stage, and all Yoshi's doing is eating these Shy Guys and crapping them out as eggs, and he's basically just he's ruining their diorama by eating them and destroying these houses and everything. It's pretty dark when you think about it.
Right.
It's like, man,
we were
Yoshi's
just trying to be creative.
Yeah, it seems kind of mean, because the Shy Guys are kind of cute too, the characters. So it's just like, wow, what are you doing, Yoshi? What pissed you off? So
yeah,
just rampaging through. I think the only other thing I want to say about this game is there's this one moment during a demonstration where they're doing a co-op together, and there's this like rhinoceros, but the Shy Guy is holding the rhinoceros like over its head, so he's kind of like wearing it. It's like a piece of cardboard, and he charges at you, and it's got like a horn, and you have to kind of direct it at in a certain way, so it'll charge at you from like one side of the screen, and you guys cooperatively have to like kind of jump up and try and bait it to go to a certain area to unlock it, because there's balloons in the diorama as well, and you have to have that rhinoceros go through the balloons to pop them. And so it makes things like really kind of intense, or at least based on what I've seen. And the people, the one female and the guy, I don't know their names, but they were teaming up together, and they got it felt pretty intense, the rhinoceros charging at you, because he disappears too, because you can go down below the screen too, and you kind of don't know where he is at some points, and then he comes charging at you, and you have to try and bait him to one side, and he does some damage. So it looks like it's a lot of fun cooperatively. It's you have to do this, and you set this person to do that. and there's definitely obstacles that you have to do and little puzzles in between the stages in order to complete what you need to do. So, yeah, I've always liked Yoshi games in general. Like Woolly World was a lot of fun, and this one looks like a lot of fun too. So yeah, next year sometime. It's definitely one I would buy if I have a Switch by then. So really
Yeah, it
cute.
looked pretty neat. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked like it should be a lot of fun, and it is a genuinely like cool and creative way of handling a game like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that recorder too. The recorder. Not often do you hear recorders being used in soundtracks, but
Right.
that throughout that whole main stage, the recorder there, that was really nice.
Yeah, it fits
It's just like,
perfectly with the entire like kids theme too.
yeah,
And you had
absolutely.
mentioned too something that was really perfect about it is that even it has this entire feel to it. Like it feels a little bit sleepy and relaxed. It would be one of these perfect games for you had a really stressful day and you just really need to get every ounce of anger or tenseness out of yourself. It seems like this would instantly disarm all of that crud, like pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, it's hard not to watch the trailer and not like smile a little bit. Like the
Yeah,
music and just the art, and it's one of those games where you can just you play it and you just have fun.
yeah. Honestly, when you'd mentioned to me that I should check it out, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, Yoshi's not really my thing, but I'll hear him out on this one. But you're right, it definitely it put a smile on my face really quick, and I genuinely understand the potential of it. It seems like should be fun.
Yeah, I like that they see characters like Yoshi and Kirby and are willing to kind of experiment with neat little tricks that maybe they might not do with Mario or something just yet, but
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or not just leave Mario like have Mario be all the unique stuff. Like I like that they will do things with their other characters.
Are
Yeah, it
you
seems like they're.
do you happen to be a fan of Yoshi by any chance, Django, or is he does he does he appeal to you at
Uh,
all, or
yeah. I always liked the character is cool.
okay?
I'll be honest. I've always hated him. Not even kidding. He looks like a
Okay.
dumb dinosaur. Yeah, this this has definitely gone a lot farther towards changing my opinion than anything else, and probably surpassed that.
So with that, we've got I think about 4 more games to go through. I'll quickly kind of go through these last ones, like not say a whole lot, just kind of mention them, and then I'll end to wrap it up. So they announced something that I've been waiting for a long time, which was the core RPG Pokemon game that a lot of people have been wanting for a long time, and with the perspective of like having a home console and a portable console, it just made sense to make an actual core game now of it, because they've had a lot of other Pokemon games in the past, but they've never been like the true RPG game that most of us loved on like the Game Boys. So it was like a big system seller to even just hear that announcement. At least we know it's coming. They didn't have a date. I would suspect like 2018 at the earliest, maybe even 2019. But the fact that it's in development for me is great, because that's one of the things I wanted to hear for the Switch. So that's that. There
And
was
it makes sense, like you said, with the portability and stuff.
right.
Point. like it was already kind of pushing the envelope, not doing something like that with the Wii U, since even though it's not genuinely portable, it still has the feel of a portable console. I was really surprised they didn't push something like this a lot sooner, but yeah, if they wouldn't have done it with the Switch, I'd think that Nintendo has something completely loose in their mind.
Yeah. Well, based on this, they truly listen to the fans. They've announced quite a
Yeah.
bit that we've been asking for a long time, which leads into this next game that I'm going to talk about, which is the announcement of Metroid Prime 4. Now
Right.
that is the series that people have been waiting for. The last one, Metroid Prime 3, was out 10 years ago. So we've been waiting pretty much 10 years for a console Metroid Prime game, and they've delivered with that. It'll be
Yeah.
nice to get back in the sci-fi realm with the ass kicker Samus.
Yeah.
She's I
Super
could be
iconic
wrong.
character and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think she might be like one of the first female like badass characters in video games. I could be
Yeah.
wrong on that,
No,
but
I think you're right. Actually, it was funny. Like I'd done, I think way back in college, I had a public speaking class, and so I had to do a thing, and I ended up choosing video games as part of it, and so
mm,
it heavily the theme was like women in video games, which
uh,
back then was a little bit of a scarce topic, but
yeah,
I I completely blanked and I didn't even think of Samus at all. And so at the end of the entire thing, after talking about all of these like more current characters for that time frame and sort of the interesting implications of them, somebody walked up to me at the very end, somebody that hadn't talked to in the class like since the very beginning, and he was like, "Yeah, yeah, you miss Samus." Like, she was
it's
she was
like
the
oh,
first one. It was like, crud, you're right. But at the same
yeah,
time, it was like at that point, it was like, well, maybe you can't blame me because at that point it was not like you had to actually complete the game in order to
yeah,
know that. So, but
yeah.
still, I was kicking myself pretty hard on that one. So, as far as I know, yeah, she is like one of the very original characters. It was a female, like playable character.
Yeah, because that came out in '86, a year after the NES was launched. So, and it was
Yeah.
like mind-boggling to everybody when like they beat the game. They're like, "What? What?
Right.
That was actually a female under that suit?" Because everyone just assumed it was a male, but they were blown away. It's like,
Yeah,
wow, that's
it
awesome.
was really forward-thinking game design for that time period. It was really cool.
Yeah. So basically, there's nothing on it. It was just an announcement trailer with a title screen saying Metroid Prime 4, and it's in
It got
development.
a lot of people to cheer.
Yeah, yeah, it did. Yeah, this series has a huge following. So 10 years is a long wait for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
the only other thing I'd like to point out is that the first three Metroid Primes were made by Retro Games, developed by Retro Games, and they're not going to be doing it this time. It's a new studio, but the head producer will still be there, so he'll kind of pick the new development team, and he says that it's a growing group of young talent. So
Okay.
remains to be seen how that'll shape, because we have the same producer of the other three, but it's not the same development team. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of translates into this new Metroid. But
Yeah,
it's
what they're going to take from the previous games and what they'll add, and just, I'm sure there'll be people who grew up on playing the other ones, so what they what inspired them from them.
Yeah. And then the other quick touch up I want to do is not only did they spoil us with one Metroid Prime, they released another Metroid Samus Returns, which comes out
Right.
this year on the 3DS, which is a remake of the 91 Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. And they're basically making it like a 2D with the 3D characters. And what I took away most from this is that some of the Metroid fans are divided. They like some of their old school that like the 2D platformers. They like Super Metroid, like I do. That's my favorite of the series. And then there's others that like the 3D ones, which like the Prime series. So Nintendo, what they did is they gave fans of both something to look forward to. They gave them the 3D one coming later, and they have the 2D one on the 3DS to play. So you can kind of play the 3DS one for now, and then later on you'll get Prime, which I'm actually a fan of both, but I do like the 2D ones probably a little bit better. But I just kind of like how they did that. They gave us two, and they kind of catered to both fans, not just, oh, you're getting a 3D one, no 2D one. So I think that goes
It's
back
a nice
to like
primer
Nintendo.
for it.
Yeah, they're really seems like they're listening to it. So that comes out September, not October of this year. So want to touch up quickly, and then finally another system
The
seller for a
denouement.
lot of people. Yeah, this is obviously Super Mario Odyssey, which comes out, guess what month? October 27th.
Oh, jeez.
Right. I know, right? Seriously,
Same
doesn't matter
day as
what
a lot of
console
these
you
games.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
that
matter
particular
what
day is
console.
going to be nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. GameStop is going to be crowded.
Yeah. Yeah, kids are going to have
seriously.
to decide, do I want to shoot Nazis or do I want to possess things with a hat?
Right? Or we can do both.
Yeah, why not both?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or both, yay.
Possess.
Well,
Nazis.
27th also has Assassin's Creed Origins as well, so
Yeah.
it's crazy. But yeah, this is one of their big system sellers for a lot of people. And I would not be shocked at all. There's been a ton of great games this year, but I would not be shocked at all if Breath of the Wild and this game duke it out for Game of the Year. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but I would not be shocked at all if those two games for this year end up duking it out. And there's been a ton of great games, don't get me wrong, but if one of those two games aren't Game of the Year, I'd be shocked. I'll probably lean towards Breath of the Wild, but man, wouldn't shock me at all. But quickly recap Odyssey. He travels on a hat ship that's appropriately named Odyssey. It's a red and white, like big hat that he goes through kingdom to kingdom, and he travels on that. You can decorate it throughout your open world concept, so you can kind of collect things, buy things in stores, get new suits and all that. So that's customizable.
Yeah, I really like that the coins actually buy things now.
Yes,
it's not just collecting just for collecting's sake anymore. That's pretty, right. That's a big leap for Nintendo.
Yeah,
and there's really unique currency for the zones too.
Yeah, they really want you to kind of experiment with the game because they don't necessarily hold your hand. You have a lot of exploration to do, so there will be instances where, like, there was this Mexican themed world or kingdom, and they had Mario. There was a mariachi band actually in one of the rooms,
right?
And they had a Mario go and buy a poncho and a sombrero, and you go into that room, the mariachi room, and you play an instrument with them, and lo and behold, you end up getting a moon piece from it. Moon piece is like the new star pieces for this game. So it's
Right.
like the pages from Ukulele, the big thing. So you wouldn't actually know to do that. Like there's no like, oh, go here and do this. It's just something that
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to get you to just do anything, like throw your hat at the tree, throw your hat at. There's actually a point where you can throw your hat at a tree and you can become the tree, and you move the tree, and there's actually a moon piece underneath the tree, and you like, how do you know that? It's like cryptic
Right.
as hell, but that's what they're trying to get across is like just try everything. It's just go out crazy. The bullet bill possessioning is pretty cool. I like that idea. Being able to travel on like a zip line and all these things by possessing. I think my favorite's probably possessing the dinosaur. I thought that looked really, really cool.
Yeah.
The the hat's name is Cappy, which I don't know. I kind of find the hat cute because it reminds me of like Ukulele with like the big eyes and like
Oh yeah.
um, just like the kind of bouncy aesthetic that they have. I don't know. I kind of find it cute. The jazzy music that they have in the trailer. I don't know if you guys seen the trailer, but it's like the first time that they've done like lyrical voices in like a Mario game. So
Right.
they have like this character like Pauline from other iterations of Mario singing this song that's titled "I'll Be Your One Up Man." A good one, a good reference there. It's a really cool jazzy theme, upbeat song that you wouldn't really associate Mario with per se, but um, it's kind of cool to see like the new Donk City is New York City, and
Right.
they've got all these kind of like crazy worlds that you wouldn't see Mario typically in, and like real
Yeah.
like looking human beings as opposed to like the kind of cartoony characters that you've kind of seen throughout Mario. So
Yeah, the
if you're
the
a
Desert
fan,
South America one looked like really
mhm,
neat to me, and it was a neat little chunk of, I guess, unlockable storyline too. Was here you have like desert, so you'd assume hot, and there's like massive ice, like popping out all over the place, and it's like legitimately beautiful ice too, on red
mhm.
sands. It's really impressive for for a Mario game. As condescending as that probably sounds, it is.
Yeah, yeah, it looks really nice, especially for you can take it with you too. It's a portable game on top of that, so that's
Yeah.
really neat. Um, the last thing I wanted to point out was during a demonstration. Again, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but there's a moment where he's kind of thinking about ascending a tower, and he's not really sure how to go about doing it, but there's multiple ways of doing it. And the way he chose to do the demonstrator, he chose to go in a tube, and there's like a mural on the tower wall, and it's
I
basically
didn't see
like,
that. No.
yeah, it shows like the 8-bit Super Mario from the NES, and it shows that block, and it shows the bullet bills, and
Oh,
it shows everything exactly from the 8-bit Mario, Super Mario Bros, the first one, and it's on the wall. So when he goes into the tube, he goes from a 3D character literally turning into Mario 1, Super Mario Bros character, and it's like 2D side scrolling up the tower. He literally just keeps going sideways but ascending it up, and he has like bullet bills to avoid, and he has coins to collect, and he has platforms to jump on the wall. This is all like looks like a big mural. It's really neat. I thought that was like super creative. Um, when you're in that, it also kind of like sounds like a classic theme, like a kind of like a retro kind of theme. It takes out some of like the instruments that are kind of in the main world. So then when you jump out of the tube and you're back to 3D, a seamless transition, it goes back to the normal music again. So I thought that was really clever, having like 8-bit retro look in that beautiful like 3D world. So that
Yeah,
I thought was like one of the coolest things I've seen with that game. And I'm sure there's other examples of doing that in other, various areas, but the one they showed off, that was really cool to me.
yeah, it's pretty creative.
Yeah, it sounds like with the mentioning of like, oh, you wouldn't think to do this certain thing to get a moon piece or something. It sounds very like Super Mario Brothers 1 of like just by happenstance hitting one of the bricks like the pops up the one up, or you break so you can go up above this. Like it kind of sounds like a little homage to. We're not telling you what you do, but there's like crazy little secrets things you can do in this. Like
Yeah, it it really seems like it's come full circle, like with the 8-bit retro influence, but then it's like almost like a sequel to like spiritual successor to like Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine, where you have a lot more freedom in like the sandbox kind of thing. So they have like elements of kind of like all of their game Mario games kind of in one, and they kind of utilize them in like a unique. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm definitely impressed in it. I've always liked the Mario games, so this is obviously for a lot of people system seller. It's just when will they get that console? Because there's still low supply of that
Yeah,
even at this
it's
point.
it is funny, like you mentioned that, because I think the very same day they launched it, they had it available on Amazon now, so I could have had it delivered to my door that very
Oh,
first day. And I was thinking to myself, uh,
damn.
well, I mean, I know they're making more of these than previous ones, so it sounds like they've got it covered. And so I'll put it off for now. I'm a little bit tight on money or whatnot. And sure enough, like for months now, no sign of them any place. So yeah, I've kicked myself a fair number of times for not jumping on that,
Yeah.
if for no other reason than to turn around and like jack up the price and sell it to somebody for no other reason. But I, knowing me, I'd probably keep it.
You're the problem, Jason. You're the problem.
That's fine.
ah, no
I'm
problem.
fine with being. I'm
Yeah.
fine with at least contemplating being the problem.
Yeah.
You're that Nintendo. We found the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
He's right. He's right here. You can
Yeah,
bribe me
because
not to be the problem by giving me a Switch. I
yeah.
promise I will sell it if you give me one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've looked at Amazon recently, and like there's actually a few in stock, but they're going for like $600, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
thank you.
You can get them, but yeah, they're actual retailers that specialize in gouging. It's amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. So yeah, I guess that ends Nintendo's
So,
spotlight there.
good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll do it for Nintendo. And we'll move on to the last one.